tell you about what the mayor's true intentions are here, because on one hand, he's telling us that he's going to court trying to reduce the burden on the city, try to eliminate portions of the right to shelter, particularly as it relates to migrants. Here we have a court order that actually the decision says that right to shelter is intended for New Yorkers. If the mayor wanted to end this crisis, he could use the decision from yesterday to do it, and he's actually appealing it instead. So it's very disappointing that he's going to continue to use taxpayer resources to fight the community, to fight all the local elected officials in court. But that's what we have. We have a mayor who's saying one thing and then doing another as it relates to this crisis.
So, Congresswoman, some of the migrant groups say that the migrants on Staten Island represent like 2% of the borough, and this is xenophobic. Is this xenophobic to say that you don't want the migrants in your neighborhood?
No, it's ridiculous to say that we want to have secure borders. We want to have vetting. We want to know who's coming in and out of our country. I'm the daughter of immigrants, and I can tell you one thing. I have a very diverse district. We have immigrants from all over the world in my district. And the immigrant communities are the ones who are most upset. Why? Because they sacrificed greatly. They followed the rules. They waited their turn. They did everything right. And now they see a group of people coming into the community taking taxpayer resources away. This was a school that was supposed to have 1,000 seats to our overcrowded system, and it's been taken away from the community. Our national parks now are being taken away from our community. I had an assisted living facility where I was joined by a 95-year-old veteran this week who he and seniors were removed from that facility, and then the organization Homes for the Homeless that ran it turned around and cut a deal with the mayor to turn it into a migrant shelter. That is wrong when we see taxpayers being treated like this. And I'll say this, I've helped hundreds of people who have come the right way and have done everything right, stuck in bureaucracy, become either citizens, get their green card, get work authorization.
Let me ask you, though, because we do have a statement from City Hall, and this is what the spokesperson for the mayor is saying. We're taking steps to immediately appeal this ruling, which we believe is incorrect in key respects and which threatens to disrupt efforts to manage this national humanitarian crisis. Instances like this underscore the urgent need for broader state and national solution, as we've emphasized repeatedly. So, according, going back to your point, this does sound like it could be gaslighting, because what they've emphasized repeatedly is that they don't want this right to shelter rule to apply to migrants. So what do you make of that? What are they talking about? It's incorrect in key respects.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're talking about. And I said, look, I was the first one on your show to say that right to shelter was intended for New Yorkers who are homeless. The judge affirmed that yesterday. The mayor should end this today. He can end this crisis today. He doesn't need to cut 15% across the board in city services for the taxpayers. And I'll say this also. The work authorization that they're pushing right now, which they did grant for some, is a problem. Why? Because non-citizens would be eligible to vote in city elections if they get work authorization after just being in New York City for 30 days. That's what Bill de Blasio's law that he passed on the way out the door says. We sued to stop that law because obviously U.S. citizens can only vote in our elections. We won that decision, and the mayor appealed that as well.
Well, you do got to fight.
The mayor has to stop using taxpayer resources to fight us at every single turn when we're sticking up for the U.S. citizens in this country that we represent.
Well, speaking about taxpayer resources, I know the Legal Aid Society has teamed up with City Social Services Commissioner Stephen Bake's former. He works at the law firm Paul Weiss. This is to oppose City Hall. But, again, with the Legal Aid Society, they get a lot of money from the city as well. So are we essentially paying ourselves to fight the city's decision? That makes no sense to a lot of people.
That's absolutely right. And that's why on the federal level, we're actually trying to stop federal funding from going to non-government organizations that are facilitating this crisis. You named one of them, but look, there's others that are busing people from the border into the cities of their choice or flying them around the country, and they're using taxpayer money to do it. We need to stop it, and the city should be doing this as well. That's why I had a press conference the other day with Homes for the Homeless that had an assisted living facility in my district where we had veterans, including a Korean War veteran, as I mentioned, who were told to leave, and then they entered into a shady contract with the city of New York. I foiled that contract. I should be getting it any day now. Would love to come back and talk about how much they're getting to do what they did to the taxpaying citizens by throwing them out to the curb.